We're going to move to the mind now. A lot easier than the heart, for sure. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. This is Shakespeare speaking through Hamlet. And this particular statement is literally the core teaching, one of the core teachings of every wisdom tradition, every psychological understanding, every philosophical understanding, and now neurobiological understanding, that it is our thinking that creates our world. So there's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. According to Marcus Aurelius, the whole universe is change, and life is what you deem it to be. And how true is that? It's so interesting. Some people I meet, they say, you know, there's just, life is so short. But I tend to prefer that kind of person to the other ones who say life is so long. And so you can ask yourself, is life short or is life long? Because depending on your attitude towards it, that's going to determine the kind of life you have, literally. Your mind determines your life. There is no absolute reality. There is a perception of reality that your brain creates. And this, whether you call it, there's a lot of other words for it, Maya, illusion, ignorance, so on and so forth, but the bottom line is that your mind creates your reality. So if you change your mind, you can change your reality. In the 70s, I was a young student, and I used to like to hang out at MIT. There's all kinds of great computers and robots and geeks and great stuff. And there was a conference there where neuroscientists, and I love neurobiology. I love neurobiology. The Dalai Lama was there. He was a young man. And he was, quote, debating neuroscientists. And the most extraordinary thing happened, and it changed my life forever. I noticed that he was not debating. He was trying to understand. He was trying to learn something. He was trying to, and my professors, some of whom were my heroes, were instinctively trying to defend a hypothesis, trying to defend a position, trying to promote their own importance, so on and so forth. This monk from Tibet had none of these things. What he had instead was this incredible serenity and joyfulness, and those of you who've run into him know this is true, and this incredible clarity of mind. And he cut him to ribbons. It was amazing. He wasn't trying to, but the fact that his mind was uncluttered with self-importance, uncluttered with his own agenda, uncluttered with him trying to advance himself, he was able to see things that were so obvious to everybody, except obvious to no one, because everyone was trying to defend their own position and their own ponies in the show, or their own egos. So anyway, he asked this question: can thinking change the mind? Back then we didn't have the technology. Now we do. For example, and this is very important to the Buddhists, because they use meditation and contemplation and mind exercises, etc., to change people's character, to bring them closer to reality, to illumination, etc. Well, now we know. Well, we know, for example, that the hippocampus of taxi drivers in London is much bigger than bus drivers, even though they spend the same amount of time driving and they're basically the same ages and so on and so forth. Because it's much more complicated to be a taxi cab driver. The roads in London are very, very convoluted, whereas the bus drivers just stay on one route. Mental stimulation increases the number of connections in the brain. Remember I showed you those connections? So we know that experience increases the number of connections, and even thinking about experience changes your connections. And some of your peak performance coaches, etc., will have people visualize, kicking that perfect field goal or shooting that perfect free throw. Because just thinking about it changes connections in the brain. And this also goes along with our mirror neuron discovery. According to the demands of life, we shift and we grow different parts of our brains. And this is one of the reasons why professional musicians have a larger part of the brain. They have the largest part of the musical brain because they're using it for professional reasons. Amateurs have a slightly smaller, and then people that just play what's it called? Guitar Hero. Theirs is a little bit bigger, but not a whole lot bigger, Guitar Hero. But we also know it from our friend the squirrel monkeys, who, by the way, think we're a little squirrely too. So at any rate, we put them in cages, and we put food, they put food in these little bitty wells outside the cage, and they have to reach and grab a pellet, and they need 240 of these an hour in order to survive. So they have to, the problem is it takes 30 seconds to get one of them. Well, if you set up this circumstance and leave them there, their brains grow, and the areas that they need to like figure out how to get their hand out and get the little pellet and get it fast. And you can show how the necessity of life, so if you want to be happy, increase your necessity, increase your intent, and you will develop capacities that you need to achieve those goals. Your brain is actually your friend. A few more examples. Meditation increases the size of the left prefrontal cortex. If you juggle, this part of your brain gets bigger. So you can literally, I mean, we used to think, and this is news too, because, I mean, it was dogma that you didn't grow new brain cells in adulthood. False.